It's a weird scenario, but again, they're playing it very, very well because he's so in your face, you can't help but hate him. And here's a guy that, just a few years ago was without a doubt the most popular WWE superstar. We didn't know if we were ever going to get him back in the ring. He's been back in the ring for less than a year. One of the best stories, one of our top stories when we look back at 2018, and now here in January of 2019, he's one of your biggest heels.
I think it's a testament to him as a performer, as a worker, and as an entertainer. A guy who can be so loved. And listen, that wasn't forced love. That was organic love. I mean, if you think about it, Daniel Bryan's rise to greatness as the babyface that he was as pure as it gets. It's like Becky is right now. So when you have the people so emotionally into you and invested in you and basically saying, we love you, that's why he's such a good heel right now. You see, in wrestling, the best baby faces were always the best heels first, and the best heels were always the best baby faces first. It's because they command so much of the emotion. People are so upset at Daniel Bryan that now they genuinely hate him because they're basically saying, how could you do this to us? He doesn't get generic bad guy boos. People truly dislike him for his stance now.
Yeah, and like you said, all the credit goes to Daniel Bryan. Now, let's throw into what we saw last night on SmackDown. You know, we have the back and forth between him and AJ Styles, but the main player I thought in that was Vince McMahon. We saw Vince McMahon on Raw. Been seeing a lot of Vince McMahon lately. Let me ask you this. Are you surprised how much they're using Vince McMahon over the last couple of weeks?
No, because whether you advertise Vince or Vince is on your TV, people are going to tune in. People always want to see what Vince has to say or do or whatever. He's a guaranteed rating in one way, shape, form. If you advertise the return of Vince McMahon, people are going to tune in to see what happens. And if Vince McMahon just pops up on your TV and you happen to be glancing, back from station to station and you see Vince there, you're going to stop. So I'm not surprised that Vince is out there. Plus, Vince gives guys the rub.
He does. And we saw that with Finn Balor on Raw. But let's go back, and courtesy of WWE.com, the back and forth between Daniel Bryan, your WWE champion, and Vince McMahon.
Because as I watched, as you pandered and peddled to the people, encouraging them to fatten themselves up with hot dogs, turning them into walking billboards of your own merchandise, I had a vision for the future with AJ Styles as the WWE champion. Do you know what that future looks like? That's an ignorant future. That's an impotent future. That's an illiterate future. And that is why I cannot allow you to take this from me. You see, AJ Styles uses his power to get fame, to get money. I use my power for the greater good.
I love the fact that he's saying that he uses his power for the greater good. And everyone's booing him. And he's saying how AJ Styles is doing it for the money, and everyone's booing him. And the fact that Vince McMahon is in the middle of the ring and then starts demanding him, again, the rub that only Vince McMahon could give to somebody like Daniel Bryan. Really good segment last night on SmackDown.
Daniel Bryan represents a lot of society today, the way he was acting last night. Very defiant. Doesn't care about the consequences. No fear. That's how he comes off. And he kind of speaks the truth about this whole, people eating hot dogs and fattening themselves up. I mean, look at Dreamer. I'm sure he was the,
wow.
That's
Could you, by the way, just as a suggestion, could you please stop posting pictures of Tommy on your social media account?
Absolutely not.
Either that or I got to stop looking at my Twitter before I have dinner.
Listen. There's a lot of people who count on me for that entertainment every day. You didn't like last night's one? You didn't like that huge thong wedged up Dreamer's ass?
Not one of my favorites. Not one of my favorites. All right, so you're
back to Daniel.
All right, so so you said it. Like when it comes to Vince McMahon, he's a ratings getter. You know people are going to tune in when it comes to Vince McMahon. He gave a great rub to Finn Balor. We saw that played out on Raw. Now, when it comes to Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, now they've kind of gotten away from it because we saw it a few weeks ago. You know, AJ hit Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon wanting to bring something out of AJ. You know, because AJ's been on the back burner. He expects more from AJ. Now, what we saw last night was more about Daniel Bryan. They have their match on Sunday. Is Vince McMahon going to get more involved in this storyline? Again, he says he wants to bring something out of AJ. Is this the end of the story? Is what we're going to see at the Rumble the end of this feud, or is this just the beginning?
I really couldn't tell you, Dave, because logically they're not connecting the dots on the Vince AJ storyline to me.
They haven't followed up on it
exactly.
At all.
So when the WWE doesn't follow up on something, it normally tells me that they want us to forget about it. So I haven't seen Vince even gently remind AJ of, don't forget, son, I know there's an animal raging inside of there. We're not getting anything from him. Stood in the ring with AJ Styles, and they did the promo and the back and forth, and did that promo really get us anywhere and anything? Did that move us forward in any way?
It's more about, I think it was more about Daniel Bryan than it was about the match that's taking place on Sunday.
And what about Daniel Bryan? He cut another one of his Daniel Bryan-esque promos. I think the real takeaway from his promo is telling Vince that he represents the baby boomers and all they're concerned about is greed or whatever he said. You know, it's like the young generation taking things out on the older generation. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you can kind of compare it to politics a little bit in this one. Like with this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the younger Democrat kind of getting in the face of the older Democrats, the new regime versus the old regime. I don't know. That's kind of the way I see it.
No, it's funny because Alex and I were having that discussion before the show. Like, it almost looks like, you know, and again, this is just perception, like AJ's the Republican and you have Daniel being the Democrat and you have Vince McMahon stuck in there like that's like he said, the baby. I mean, he went after, and this is one of the reasons why I love the promo from Daniel Bryan last night. I mean, he went after Vince McMahon. You rarely see that. Like even with Finn on Raw, like Finn took a step back. It was almost like he went at Vince, but he did it in kind of a way where it was being a little bit respectful. I mean, everything out of Daniel Bryan was the complete opposite. He really went after. And again, that's why I'm thinking the back and forth that we saw with Vince and AJ might come back up again. Because if Daniel Bryan wins this match against AJ at the Rumble on Sunday, I mean, I would think that's the end of the feud. I mean, Daniel Bryan's the champion. He won the championship from AJ. If he wins that match on Sunday, I think you got to move on. That's why I'm thinking something wonky is going to happen between those two on Sunday.
And if they were to move on, who do you want to see them move on to?
I think that the championship needs to stay on Daniel Bryan.
I'm not saying move on from champion. I'm saying move on from challenger.
I don't know. I don't know who the next challenger can be. That's why I think something is going to happen on Sunday. And when I say something is going to happen on Sunday, I think it's going to involve Vince McMahon.
And do you think do you think Vince helps AJ go over and AJ sides with Vince? Maybe.
Because let me ask you this, because you've said it too. Where Daniel Bryan is going, what he has to say, is pretty much against like what you perceive Vince McMahon mind is going in his beliefs, correct?
Yes.
AJ may be near the side of Vince McMahon. And I'm not just talking about on TV, but maybe even outside the ring as well. It's kind of funny. We're just saying it political-wise. AJ and Vince are the Republicans, where Daniel Bryan's the Democrat. Where is the public perception going outside the ring in reality?
But
they could do something very, very special here between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan if they do it the right way with the help of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, they could also get into some very dangerous territory.
True, but you know what?
You don't want to bring politics into wrestling. I mean, not that I wouldn't, but because it would work if done the right way.
That's what I mean.
But I don't think WWE will go down that road.
And maybe they won't. But they're hinting at it. I mean, they're hinting at it with Daniel Bryan's character.
No. They haven't hinted at it. We've hinted at it. There's no way in Daniel Bryan's character have they ever hinted at anything political. We've seen plenty of people over the years, not in wrestling, but just in real life. What is Daniel Bryan? He's like a tree-hugging hipster. Is that how? What do the cool kids call themselves?
I think that was pretty cool, you bully.
Okay, so he's a tree hugging hipster.
He's a tree hugging hipster,
but we've had plenty of tree hugging hipsters, throughout history who weren't, political. They might have a certain stance, but to bring that into the ring, I mean, yes, do I believe that it should be, that it could work? I mean, imagine. I can't even believe I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
Imagine if Vince McMahon helped AJ Styles win the championship and they broke out the red MAGA hats.
Yeah, maybe not. You're right there.
I'm dying over
You're right there.
Oh my God. It's pro wrestling. It could work.
I'm just saying they could do something special here if done the right way. And done the right way where I understand with political, it's always heated. You're in dangerous territory. But maybe you can do it in a way where you can get away from it, get away with it as well. And then, I don't know, would that make AJ the heel? If Vince McMahon interferes in that match and helps AJ, does AJ become the heel or is Daniel Bryan still the heel? And do you want to mess with that because Daniel Bryan's doing such a great job as a heel?
I don't think you mess with Daniel Bryan as being a heel right now at all. He's doing too great of a job. He's into it and he's happy with it. So you leave it alone until you have the right babyface to beat Daniel Bryan. Now, right now on the babyface side, who do you have? AJ and who else?
It's not a lot.
Exactly.
I mean, you have a lot of heels when it comes to the SmackDown brand, for sure.
Now, I don't know if they're necessarily looking for another strong baby face, or maybe his next contender is a Rey Mysterio, or I don't know, maybe it's Samoa Joe. They're positioning Joe in a good way. Not really sure. But all this political stuff that we're talking about, I think we're talking a more fantasy land and just joking around. I don't see them going down the political road. I don't think people would like it. It would cause too much backlash within the WWE universe amongst fans. I don't know. I can't read the writing on the wall with this one. And when I can't read the writing on the wall, that's a good thing.